Um, see if anyone jumps on.
Will it show my page too? Like, I have no idea. I've never done Facebook Live.
Yeah, this is a different type. We're using a streaming system where I'm able to push it through Facebook Live. Let me share it on my personal timeline, and we'll get going. All right, and no one's on yet because we're going to go ahead and rock and roll. I'm going to press play on this.
Okay.
And let's listen and see if anyone tunes in and starts commenting on it. Awesome. That is badass right there. I don't know if you guys saw that video. Hey, Stephanie, we got Stephanie this morning. If you saw that, comment and let us know what you thought about that video. So let's talk about that real quick. How was your experience in making that video with them?
Oh, that's my home gym, Jim Jones, here in the city. So that's what we do all the time. So it's really fun to just have Hyperfly even interested in capturing it.
Well, so how many takes did that take to go through all that?
We trained, he just filmed a regular workout, and it took us about, I'd say 60 minutes to get, I mean, it's only like 90 seconds of footage, but yeah, I work out that day, and we had an empty gym because they knew he was filming, so it worked out.
That's cool. I was like, man, I need to have that intro. I was like, I need to do a parody of that and then put that on show. It won't be as badass, but I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's a wake-up call right there. So this morning, good morning, everyone. That's coming in. We have Apoku so far and Stephanie Madden. Stephanie Madden, she actually is a founder of Forever a Fighter with PTSD and domestic violence abuse. So we can talk about that today also. So talk about, we have Miyo Strong. Introduce yourself, age. I want to know your nationality. I've just always been curious. And then belt level. When did you start jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
Okay. So my name's Miyo Strong. A lot of people just call me Jits Mama. Like if I see you at a tournament, not a lot of people know my actual name. They just be like, hey, it's Jits Mama, which is totally fine. I'm 42. I live in Utah, and I'm a purple belt. I was on track to, I'm a 4-stripe purple belt, stuck in COVID.
You're on track for that brown belt. So when did you start jiu-jitsu? I'm sorry.
You know what? I started back in 99, but I quit for like 15 years. Got married, had kids, finished school, and then I just came back so I've been back very seriously 4 years, competing and like really chasing the dream. I switched schools about 3.5 years ago. And that is when I feel like my real jiu-jitsu journey started. That's so weird to say, because I mean, it's purple belt, but I feel like, I don't know, like I finally am understanding jiu-jitsu and loving jiu-jitsu. Whereas before with my old gym, it was like, I'm a competitive person. I don't quit, do my best, but it was a grind. And now I like cannot wait to get to train. I love my teammates. My coaches are incredible. And my nationality, my mom is Japanese. My dad is Caucasian.
Okay, cool. I'm white. You can ask my husband. He does like, you're so white. I'm like, because I don't know if you saw the video. I was like, I did a TikTok video and saying when I don't cook Asian food for my white husband, he tells me to turn my ass back around, or the music does, and it says what the fuck on the caption. So it was funny, but here's so I'm going to flash off Stephanie Madden here. We got Stephanie, we have Apoku. Good morning, everyone. Question from Apoku. He says 15 years layoff, that's a lot hard. Was it hard for you to come back?
Yes, I begged for my white belt because what had happened was I started training and back, was just starting, and that's how I learned about jiu-jitsu, was through watching the Gracies kind of kill it. And so I was like, sure, like let's try this. This sounds good. Like I was always a competitive athlete in high school, and I'd given up a soccer scholarship for college to stay home and follow my career path, which was photography at the time. And I don't regret it. Like I'm glad I did it. But so I started jiu-jitsu, got my blue belt. I went to compete at Pan Am's when it was I think it was like the first or second year it was in the US. That's how long ago it was. And it was in Florida, and you had to be a minimum of a blue belt to compete. I didn't know that when I signed up.
Yes. Yeah, that's back then in Pans. And yeah, was it just Pans, or I can't remember if Worlds also did that too. No, Adults Worlds, you can be a white belt in Adult Worlds, but in Pans you had to be a blue belt back then.
Yeah. So they handed me my blue belt essentially on my way out the door to go to Florida to fight and get my but so when I came back, I was a blue belt technically, but 15 years off. I begged for my white belt back, and the professor was like, nope. And so I started at the bottom. Man, my poor little fragile ego just got shredded day in and day out because everybody just killed me. I mean, and of course, because I was way older, had 3 kids, and had taken so much time off. My body was, what do I do? What's a shrimp? Like it was hard. Yeah, definitely.
After 15, heard anybody that's been laid off that long from jiu-jitsu and come back from that. So it takes a strong warrior and character to go be able to come back like that. Have you been to Japan?
No, I have not. It's on my list. I actually was going to go do the Asian Open I have a cute little cousin who served his LDS mission in Japan, and he and I trained together. He's just a white belt, but he and I trained strength and conditioning together, and we were going to try and make a trip, and he would go back to his mission and see, all of his people. And then I was going to compete, and going to be amazing, but COVID hit, so here we are.
So you have 2 daughters. How old are they?
So I have a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old, and then I had a little boy who passed away back in So that's where my 3 kids come from, even though I have 2 daughters that I'm raising.
Oh, I'm sorry on that. And do your kids, your girls do jiu-jitsu?
They don't. So my oldest, right, the day she turned 5 or 6, I can't remember. That was how old they had to be to train. I pushed her so hard. It was my mistake. So she really didn't. It wasn't the right environment. It wasn't the right gym. It wasn't the right professors. And then I wasn't the right support system at the time. I was just like, okay, we're going to be world champions. Like I just pushed her and pushed her and pushed her. So she doesn't like to train. My 10-year-old does like to train, but only when I'm in class with her. And so it's hard because most of the last 3 years, I've been really, really focused on my own competitive jujitsu journey. So it was hard to, have her come to class with me and then me not be able to get this, the rounds and the reps and the really good quality training in. So they come with me now. I teach self-defense. They come with me to those seminars and classes. So it's striking, it's grappling, it's, education. So they're in it. They're just not traditionally training.
Gotcha. Do you, and if you don't have to talk about it, so how'd you end up losing your son?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty open about it. So back in 2003, it actually was, I feel like one of the years that really shaped me is the worst year of my life. My husband at the time cheated on me, left me for his assistant when I was 7 months pregnant. And then my mother, who's been an opioid addict for as long as I've been alive, overdosed. And my son died. So 2003 was a terrible year for me. But the problems with my son were all genetic, and we had no idea anything was wrong with him until he was born. And so we made the tough call to take him off life support once we knew, his brain had been without oxygen for too long, and he had a rare disorder where his heart was producing too much of the white blood cell and just all these other problems too that went along with it. So we made the tough call, but it was the right call. So he passed away as a newborn.
Wow. That's just, yeah, I would hate for any mom to go through all that. I can't imagine.
Yeah, it definitely
Heartbreak.
The way I mother, the way I parent, the way I am an auntie, the way I look at children and life. And in general, it really, really changed me for sure. And my girls, they talk, we're very open about it, and they always talk about their big brother. And, they've got a pretty good handle on just how precious life is.
It's awesome that you're able to have a positive outlook from all that. How are your kids handling online classes?
Oh my gosh, they love online school. It takes them like 90 minutes and they're done for the day. So they both are very, very bright kids and not very disciplined. My oldest one is pretty disciplined. My youngest will do the bare minimum, but she also gets straight A's. So as long as she's understanding the material and contributing, I'm okay with the bare minimum. They're loving it, but they are really anxious to get done with it and to get back to actually being able to physically play with friends and see everybody.
Gotcha. So you work, are you a trainer at Jim Jones, or what do you do over there?
My main job is with the Elizabeth Smart Foundation.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with who Elizabeth Smart is.
I'm not, but I did see that you landed a job with her as a program director.
Yeah, for their self-defense program called Smart Defense. So Elizabeth is incredible. She was kidnapped when she was 14. She was raped and brutalized like over and over for 9 months until she was found. And she is like a beacon of badassery. Like, she's the kindest, most genuine human, but she's also very, very mentally tough, and she's an advocate, and her foundation is based around helping victims of all sorts of abuse, domestic violence, rape, sexual abuse. And she actually recently had another incident on a Delta flight, which is what sparked the self-defense program called Smart Defense. And on the Delta flight, she fell asleep, woke up to somebody groping her. And I know, it's like, what? And she froze. And that's, fight, flight, or freeze. Those are very, very normal, physiological responses. But she really, really wanted to do more. Like, she wanted to, take her platform. She's got a huge audience. She's been actually she went on Dr. Oz and Gail King right after she launched Smart Defense, and it just blew up. And then COVID hit. So we haven't been able to physically train people in person, but we're working really hard to get, some good online content out and get our podcast is out. So the podcast is called Smart Talks. And that's part of what sets Smart Defense apart. It has such a huge component of education and prevention. It's not just like learning shrimps and, mount escapes and, strangle holds and things like that. It's based on like creating healthy boundaries and understanding what, bystander awareness is, and how do we as women choose to show up for other women that have been victims, and what do we do to raise healthy kids to break the cycles of abuse. Like it's a very well-rounded program. Yes, there's jujitsu and Krav Maga, and really cool techniques involved, but the majority of sexual assault happens by somebody so it's really about creating healthy boundaries prior to ever getting into a situation where you have to physically defend yourself.
That's awesome. Definitely need to talk about a little bit more about some of the things a lot more detail, because I'm also talking with another organization in providing self-defense for women in another organization. So we'll definitely have some like questions about it. So I might hit you up later about that. So how'd you end up landing that position? How'd that fall into your lap?
Yeah, it's a really random story because I've been teaching self-defense seminars with one of my teammates. Her name's Chelsea Kilpack. She's a badass purple belt, but her graduate degree is in women's health. There's a big, long technical title she has. But anyway, she's always been the brains behind the self-defense, and I've just been the brawn. But she and I have been teaching for a few years. And one of my junior high buddies, a couple of years ago, he had contacted me because he wanted to get his kids in jiu-jitsu. And so we had touched base that way. We stayed in contact through Facebook, and Dave Gray, if you're out there, love you, man. But Dave contract works for the foundation through his father's therapist company, Lifestar Therapies. And he knew they were looking for a program director because they had developed the program with a blue and a brown belt out of Idaho. And when push came to shove and it was time to launch, they weren't ready to really relocate and commit fully because they're from Idaho. Headquarters is in Utah. Anyways, they parted ways, and that's when they were on the lookout for somebody to fill that spot. And I interviewed and just hit it off with them, and hit it off with the style of teaching and the messaging. And I myself am a survivor of sexual abuse. So I think that helps too. I can understand a different point of view. And the fact that I'm female, I think really, really helps, because for our pilot program, they found that 80% of the women that went through the program had been victims themselves. And so it's a little bit of a different demographic than like your average jiu-jitsu gym.
That's awesome that you're able to, congrats on landing on that, because we definitely need female leaders like you out there. So yeah, Apoku says you're a very strong woman person. So for sure. Now, yeah, I'll put a plug on when we get done with that, where they can find you, the Elizabeth Smart Foundation and all that good stuff. So message me later about that. So what, I don't want to skip a question. Puku says you're in a great shape. What is your diet?
Not currently. I am not in great shape.
So I have a confession. I'm going to let other people know, because someone said that I'm like, I don't want to be on the show because I'm eating like crap. I'm like, girl, I'm eating like crap right now.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, it's totally whatever. works for you in the moment. And for me, it was such a not dumb, but lockdown happened, the gym closed, and I just thought, okay, cool. Pan Am's is canceled. I was already underweight, so I have some wiggle room, right, to kind of stay within my category, because that's just how I base my weight, is just, can I just walk out on the mat and compete and not have to cut weight and not have to, worry about it and be able to compete. So featherweight, I walk at 125. Featherweight is just my jam. I used to cut to light feather, and I
Wow.
hated
light feathers. What's that weight in
it's
gi?
118 in a gi.
Ouch. Yeah, I can't cut that low. I'll be dying.
Yeah, and so I have pretty strong feelings on cutting weight, but I usually cycle with keto or fat adaptation, and I always do intermittent fasting. Even in COVID, eating cake for every meal, I do intermittent fasting. So I actually don't start eating until after 1 or 2, and then I try and stop by 7 or 8. And normally I'm low carb, high fat, but I've been
I've been carb loading. I call it, so my keto is actually, it's instead of a K, it's a CH in front with another E. So it's a silent keto. Carb cycling and keto in that manner. So, but yeah.
You were in my division for one of my competitions. I mean, we ended up I think you got promoted. Are you a brown belt?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you got promoted when we were supposed to, I can't remember, but I remember looking you up and stalking you.
Really? No way. Okay, hold on. Wait, no.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the deal. I messaged Miyo, and I was like, okay, I'm a big fan of yours. And I was like, and when she responded back, I was like, oh my gosh, I was so excited to get you on. And this is not even I don't call this a show, because I'm like, this is all out of a whim of, okay, people need social interaction. They're in quarantine. I don't know how it's going to go, so let's just roll with it. But go ahead. Okay, edify me a little bit.
Funny too, because you say I'm a fan, but I've Googled you like that. A little more crazy, but no, I think we were supposed to be in the same division for like Pan Am's or Worlds or something one of the years. Like, how long have you been a brown belt?
I was promoted last February, so about a year.
Okay, so probably for Worlds then is my guess, or maybe it was Pan Am's last year, because you would have gotten promoted right before Pan's.
Yes.
So if that's when it was, because I was like, tiny Asian ladies are like vicious.
Well, I was I got done with ADCC trials, and I was like, and I had that one match with Nikki Sullivan, which was like the funniest match ever. I'm glad I did it. Bendy. And so, I'm sorry.
She's so bendy.
Yes. I told her she like kills me gently and softly, because she has this lazy guard that you don't know when she's going to pounce on you. And so, and then of course, we had this other no-gi EBI type tournament in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And so in my first match, I broke my ring finger. Multiple fracture. So I'm still recovering from that. And I think you might have broken yours or hurt your finger, something like that. Are you trying to copy me?
Tons of fingers, but my wrist, I did have surgery.
Gotcha. Now, how's that healing for you?
It's okay. Like, it's not the same, but that's okay. It's my like mobility on it. I still have to work on all the time, and it's just something I'm gonna have to deal with.
Yeah,
it was too long. So it was just like a genetic defect. So not only did my TFCC tear, but because of the way my ulna bone was, it would have always stayed injured no matter how much time I would have taken off or rehabbed. So I had the bone shortened and the TFCC tear cleaned up. And they said like, you should be like 100% functioning. I was like, yeah, but do you know what I do for fun? Like, this is functioning, like turn on my faucet is not cutting it. Like, I need to be able to,
Gotcha. So let's go back and talk about pans, because I know you won pans in Masters Worlds last year, correct? Or am I?
I won Nogi Worlds and Master Worlds.
Okay.
Second.
Congrats to all that. That's just an amazing year. 2000. Yeah. You're like, forget about 2020. Let's go back to 2019 on there. So talk about your experience of your competition last year.
Yeah. So for 2019, I set some big goals. I don't know if you know who Josh Hinger is, but he's one of my good friends, and he came out and trained at Jim Jones with us a few times. And I went and trained at Autos a few times, and I just saw like the different level of what's required to like really be successful. And so I thought, well, shit, I can do it.
So what was the difference in training with him and Autos from?
Well, with Nikki, like getting a chance to train with female black belts, Nikki and Charlene and Angelica. And I mean, their entire squad is like ridiculously competitive, kind, but also like zero bullshit, right? They're train and work. And Kayla Patterson was my partner in the comp class, and man, I felt so bad for her because I suck, but it was like so inspiring, like the mental toughness. Like my jiu-jitsu will catch up eventually, but like the mental toughness, I think, is what sets a lot of people apart. So anyways, just being exposed to that. And I've been exposed to incredible jiu-jitsu at Unified in Utah. It has, like I said, I feel like my jiu-jitsu journey started officially when I moved to that school, because it's just heaven on earth. It's amazing. But I decided to set some big goals. I was, getting divorced. I was having a mess in my personal life. And so I decided 2019, I'm going to cut back on work, know that I'm going to take a financial hit. It's probably my last year at Purple. So I'm going to just focus and compete as much as possible. I went to Euros. I won the open class, not in Master Euros. I didn't go to Euros because I had wrist surgery. So Pan Am's last year was my very first competition back. And from Pan Am's to Nogi Worlds, I competed once or twice every month, which is a ton of travel because Utah doesn't have anything. I mean, we do have local tournaments, but it's very rare to find somebody in your weight class, your belt level, at your age group. I mean, it's just rare. So it was tons of travel. Master Euros was probably one of my favorites. Pan Am's was one of my favorites. And then of course, Master Worlds in Vegas. I've been freaking competing in that damn competition forever and took second, like lost in the finals a bunch. And so
how many times have you competed in Masters before you won?
I competed probably 4 times. I think I won my 4th year.
So that teaches everyone else a lesson out there as far as you got to keep trying.
Before 2018, I was like feeling as ready and beast mode and mentally that like everything had lined up for 2018, and I lost in my first match to the division winner by 2 points. So I not only so 2019, I'm like, oh, I'm ready. Like, I'm coming back. Like, it's my year. Like, it's gonna, like, I was so bitter and so disappointed and so upset from that one year that it helped fuel all of 2019 because you hate that feeling, of, coming up short. And Nogi Worlds, I honestly was like, I don't want to go. Like, I was in the middle of this divorce and like I wasn't training, and I was really trying to focus on my kids and just trying to figure out life. But I had committed to doing Nogi Worlds in January, and when I laid out my competition year. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go. And Jason, the black belt that trains with me all the time and competes with me, he was like, just have fun. He's like, who cares if you go out there and get submitted in 20 seconds? Who cares if you go out there and gas out? Like, who cares? Like, just go have fun. Nobody's watching. Nobody, it's just about you and what you want to do, and go and have fun. So I did. And shit, it was way fun. Like,
Loved it.
I think
S-
they're off.
so, um, talk about when you won Masters Worlds. What was that experience when you finally got it?
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, I will never forget this year. It it didn't seem real, I'll tell you that for sure. And my dad was there. So my dad is this retired, cute, fuddy-duddy English professor. Like, he doesn't do sports. He's not an athlete. He's not aggressive. He is so like prim and proper and kind. And then I'm like this crazy wild animal. Like, so it's funny, but he's never really watched me compete because there's not really any opportunities locally. I mean, if I compete locally, of course he's there, but he had never been able to watch me on such a big stage with such a cool crowd. And so that made it extra special. The fact that, and I knew he was there, but I like beforehand, I like to just stay in the zone and focus. And I remember like sitting up from winning and like looking at the crowd and just like really taking a moment of like my dad and my coaches and my teammates and my ex-teammates. I mean, like, it really was, and like just internet friends were there to support me and love me and like really share in that moment. And it was super cool. And Maggie left, the amazing photographer. She got this cool shot of the crowd reaction as the ref called time. We both kind of set up.
That's awesome. Yeah, anytime you get a cool shot of the crowd after you win something, that's like a magical moment, and you always have it, as a momentum or just a memorabilia, just to remember again. So that's awesome. Just to be able to live within that moment.
There's some people in the audience that are like super pissed off that I won. So I like that.
But that's awesome because they don't know what you had to go through
to
get to that point. And it took you 4 times of losing to finally win one, and then going through a divorce and and family personal issues. So kudos to you.
Honestly, gyms was worse than my divorce. Like, that was so hard. So, and I had a coach finally that was like, you can win everything. You're going to win everything. Just give it time, put the work in, be patient. And sure enough, 2019 was the year for that. But
Congrats.
Now, who knows when we'll be able to compete again.
Well, here's the deal. At least you're able to grab a hold of it right before this whole thing happened. So you went out there, took a risk, and you live without any regrets. So that's the biggest thing you can take away from that. But yeah, hopefully we can be able to compete again for sure. So we have a question from Apoku. Good morning, Lindsay. And then Ekang. So who is your toughest opponent? Me, because I didn't compete with Eventually we'll probably compete with each other when this COVID thing comes. Actually, you have a tournament too. You kind of, is it provisional round or something like that?
I'm actually wearing my cozy hoodie from the first. So Proving Grounds Invitational. Well, I'll answer the question first. Honestly, very rarely have I ever had easy matches. Like, I'd say 80% I go in thinking, just don't embarrass yourself. Like, please don't embarrass your gym. Please remember what jujitsu is. Like, I'm such a mess. Like, I'm mentally very tough, but I have a hard, like, I don't quit, but I have a hard time believing in myself, right? I have a hard time trusting in my own jujitsu, but I'm getting much better at that. But, there's the cutest. She's such a badass. Her name's Christy Russell. She and I have competed 3 times against each other, and it's been super close every single time. And she beat me. So she's a brand new purple belt too. That's what scares me. She's like scary good. But she and I met in Denver at Fight to Win, and I won on points. We met, and that was gi. And then we met again in Chicago at the Chicago Open, and she won on points in gi. And then she was my final match for no gi worlds. And she and I had never gone no gi. So I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. She's a guard player. I'm not. So it was an interesting, I mean, she's super tough. Brigitte from Norway.
Oh
She's
wow.
tough. I saw her. I didn't compete. Sorry, my hair's crazy. I didn't compete against her in Spain at the girls, but I watched her win our division, and she was a beast. And then she was my final match for Master Worlds. So I knew going into the finals of both of those tournaments that it was going to be freaking a battle, and it always is. So it's, you know, it was fun, and they're really good humans, really great women. You know, it's one of those really good, like, healthy competitive relationships. Like, we can cheer each other on and then turn it off and try and kill each other, and then turn back on the, like, kindness and respect. I mean, the respect never gets turned off, but you know what I mean? That
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. We're like mad animals when we compete, but then afterwards it's like, oh, let's go hug it out, and you know. In chat, morning, Lindsay Boston.
She's another badass bitch that kills me every time we compete. She's crazy good, crazy strong, and thank goodness she's a brown belt now, so I won't see her for a minute.
Big shout out. We love you, Lindsay.
Yeah.
We have E. Kane. She is actually from Australia. She watches like in the midnight hours, just FYI. So if you can give yourself an advice on your first competition, what would you say to yourself? Good question.
Yeah.
Oh, both of us.
Yeah. I would honestly say what my teammates continually say to me and what my coaches say to me, which is you do everything you can to prepare within your realm of availability, right? And then the day of, you just go have fun, right? Just trust that the work has been done already prior. And then when you go out there, you just like leave it all on the mat, have no regrets. And like, losing doesn't define you, winning doesn't either. So you have to just have fun. That's my advice. How about you?
Oh gosh, I didn't expect you guys to interview me today. So what would I say to myself? I guess for me, what I've been living right now, and I said the quote before, I think to myself, no matter what, because I've been through a lot of hardships, but what I'm learning right now is life's biggest risk isn't failure, it's regret. Mm-hmm. And so that's anytime I go out and compete, it doesn't matter, because like COVID's happening right now. And so I was talking to you, it's like, oh, I wish I could compete. I was like, actually, I'm glad I did a DCC last year, because look at it this year, you never know when things can be taken away from you. Mm-hmm. So even if you go out and lose, at least you're able to go out and experience that moment. Okay. So that's my take as far as competition right now. So that's what I would say to myself, years ago. Yeah. So that's, so hopefully that gives you a different perspective. Ekane, great question. Love you, Miyo. Yes, we love you, Miyo. So is Strong your actual last name, or is that like a nickname?
It's my married name. I'm now divorced, but it's not changing.
Oh, well, that's kind of a cool name, I think. So it fits you.
Sure. My girls, it's funny because we always talk about how, especially nowadays, like, you don't have to nobody has to take their husband's name, right? And my girls are like, well, I love my last name so much. I'm like, yeah, that's right. That's why I'm not going back to my maiden name. I'm a feminist, like, to the core, but I love my last name. So I'm going to keep it. And my girls plan on keeping it as well. So I like that the three of us can have it.
That's awesome. Lindsay says, proud of your perseverance, success, my friend. Yes. We love all the encouragement from all the ladies and the guys that's on here for sure. So let's talk about, I know you want to kind of talk about, so how are you, you talked about taking jujitsu for granted, and how are you coping with the way you're, the way new ways you're training?
Yeah, it's been very interesting to me through COVID because at first, I mean, and I take it very seriously. I do exactly, what's legal, what's not legal. Like I take into account my dad is high risk. Like I definitely, and I have really close friends that are at risk. Like take this very seriously. I'm going to sit with that. But I didn't realize how much of my mental health and well-being was not dependent upon, but when I can train consistently, that helps a lot. And I always kind of knew that, but I mean, I also love training. I am also, you know what I mean? Like it never felt like a chore or like something I had to schedule in. And now that it's not available and I'm only like, I'm running on the trails. I live kind of in a suburb. And so there's amazing trails right at my back door. And I have a great home gym. I'm lucky that I have a really good home gym. So I can do kettlebells and weights and cardio and stuff here at the house, but I'm really finding the need for that physical contact. I mean, physicality is definitely my love language. It's been really, really interesting too to see some of my best friends struggle with anger issues, depression. I mean, because the schools are closed, because jobs are, I mean, there's so many things going on right now that are major, major, major stressors. And eating is one of the coping mechanisms that I do that's not healthy. I wish I had access to jujitsu because that's a healthy coping mechanism. But I started meditating. That's definitely a new thing because without that aggressive physical outlet of jujitsu, I'm finding myself shorter tempered, much more irritated quickly, I get more irritated quicker, and I'm unable to focus as easily with certain items, certain tasks. And there's only so much like closet cleaning and garage organizing and fridge scrubbing that I can do. So I'm finding new ways around it, but I'm also really, really, really aware of how much I long for jujitsu. And it's not just like to compete, it's to maintain the healthiest, happiest version of Miyo that's possible. And it's really, really, really sad. I miss my teammates. I miss my coaches. I miss, luckily I can train. I have people that I can train with. I have mats at my house, but I mean, it's better than nothing. And I know a lot of people can't even do that. So I'm not complaining. I just really miss my team and my school and my coaches.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's different because I've been on of layoffs from injuries. Like the longest, it was like almost 8 months. But the difference with this one is I was able to at least go out and about, go to work, not going grocery shopping without, having a social distance and stuff like that. But now I feel like, you're kind of cooped up in a certain area in a bubble. And so it's just, it's like a different feeling, because for me, I was able to at least have some sort of outlet, more of an outlet to go outside of the area. So it's just for me, even though I'll go out and try to working out is my coping, going outside, having a structured routine is another one for me. And even though that's something that every now I'll try to find it, but it's just like trying to find that navigation of what do I do in this new world of quarantine times. So yeah, I totally understand lacking jujitsu. Another one, because I have a husband, but he works a lot. And so he's like a night owl. So he hardly goes to bed. And so hopefully eventually we'll be able, I can at least drill on him, but I'm just kind of waiting on him and his own time. If not, I'm just doing my own solo drills and stuff like that. So question on here. Are you in a relationship now? Do you find it hard to enter a relationship after your experiences?
Yes, I do have somebody special. And yes, it's very hard. Um, Experiences, you mean like the abuse and being cheated on is what I imagine.
That's, yeah,
Yeah, I mean that,
trust issue.
yeah, for sure. That definitely and I feel like the last 5 years, maybe 3 years, I've really tried to focus on being authentic and being transparent and vulnerable. And I think that really contributes to being able to trust people, right? Like you kind of have to take a risk, right? And forever I was this like really tough, really inaccessible, really, like just protect myself, protect my girl, like just protect. I was always in protection and defensive mode. And I've really, really, really been doing a lot of personal work on trying to let go of a lot of that defensiveness and be more accepting and more warm. In fact, my I know this isn't a relationship, but my business partner Carl, he and I do proving grounds together, and we've been working together just over 3 years. I was their first female super fight, and then from there I was like, let's get a female division, let's grow this, like, and he just was so excited and has been so great. But he, at the very beginning, he was like, girl, a little less like knives and barbed wire and a little bit more like softness. Because even in business, like if you don't uphold your end of the contract, you're blackballed. Like if you don't show up for weigh-ins, never again. I never want to see you again, and I will call you out on social media. You don't even. Maybe we need to be a little bit softer. Maybe we need to be a little bit more. So I have a lot of really great influences in my life that have really, really helped me in a loving way to see that a little bit more softness is okay. That's a really long answer to that question. Sorry.
No, it's cool. I'm sure a lot of people are interested in hearing about that. Yeah, Poku says it took me a long time to let his wife in. So, yeah, definitely trust issues is something that if you've been through a breakup or divorce, it's going to be something that we have to like slowly chip away at it. So we're going to start kind of closing it out. So what would be like a positive message, quote, or a mantra you like to leave for others today?
There's so many good ones. But I actually just posted about this the other day because I think we all are dealing with so much in our own ways. But the thought of like, just because you carry it well doesn't mean it's heavy. It's not heavy. Doesn't mean it's not heavy. Meaning like a lot of us come off on the surface, I think, trying really, really hard to be positive and, be the best we can be, but it's not always easy. And so we have to kind of meet people in the middle and meet them with more kindness. And I'm finding that with these online COVID conversations that can get ugly so fast, that I either just like disengage or I try and think about it from like they're hurting or they're scared or they're, you know what I mean? Like there are so many different reasons why somebody would lash out. And instead of meeting that anger, like trying to understand like where people are coming from, especially now, it's very easy to just like block, unfollow, unfriend, like cut them out of your life. But at the same time,
Yeah.
hard to just be like, okay, I have no idea what your stressors are currently. I don't have a day in your shoes. I have no room to judge you. Like we're all hopefully trying to do the best we can. We're going to get through this. So just keep going.
I would actually agree with a lot of that because there's a lot of, I was talking to somebody else kind of sharing a video. It's like, there's a lot of people edgy right now. And so, and then also social media can spin a lot of videos right now. So it's hard to see and trust social media nowadays. But I did see somebody that I'm Facebook friends with, and there's stuff that he says that I disagree with, but I thought to myself, I was like, why was he even saying that stuff? Why is he like, you know, I was like, hold on, back up. So I just actually just prayed for that person for whatever reason, whatever he's dealing with. You know, I think about that in that same manner of, you know, what are they going through right now to even say something like that? So, but yeah, sometimes we have to step back and because these are like crazy times and a lot of people are going to react a lot quicker with negative reactions. So totally understand on that. So what we normally do, we're going to kind of, actually, before I throw Jazzy K, good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Never heard that quote, but I love it. Just because you carry it well, it doesn't mean it isn't heavy. Yes, for sure. Thank you for sharing on that. Beautiful. So we're going to kind of dance out. If you can hear the music, just thumbs out because it'll blare in and out. So, and I need to follow. Yeah. You ready to, since we can't compete with each other during these times, we're going to dance it out.
Okay.
We're going to rock it out. You ready? You just have to kind of shush and be quiet and listen to the tunes.
I got it like.
Can you hear that?
Is it worth it? Let me work it. I put my thing down, flip it and reverse it. It's your primitive is why it's your primitive is why if you got a big, let me search it. Find out how hard I gotta work. Yeah, it's your primitive is why it's your primitive is why I like to get to know ya so I can show ya. Put a hurt.
Oh, awesome.
All right, Miyo, I think we need to have a show together or something like that. So, all right. I appreciate it. Where can people find you? And I'm going to throw all these plugs after we get off.
Yeah, so my Instagram is Utah Jits Mama, and Elizabeth Smart Foundation is their Instagram, and then also their Facebook page is the Elizabeth Smart Foundation. That's
perfect. Excellent. Yeah, message me all that, and I'll post a link in here. And then hopefully I can. I'm actually still interested in competing in your tournament. So hopefully when all this comes out, be able to come meet you at the very least in person.
Our July show, of course, is postponed, but women's divisions are always, and we're going to do a brown-black division. You will be on the very small side, but that doesn't stop you.
It's all good. It's all about having fun, living without the regrets, for sure. On there. So,
well, thank you.
Well, I really loved it. Yes, I love you, and I'll share this out, and then you know, feel free to share it out. Thank you, Lindsay. Yes, we got some people commenting. We love you, Lindsay. Yeah. All right, everyone. You all have a good morning and a good day. Bye.
Wow.